What is truth? How do we know whether something is true or whether someone is trustworthy? And what does it mean for there to be multiple truths? And how do we deal with the idea that there could be multiple truths when we need to take an action that has big consequences? Say, whether or not to date someone, or marry someone, whether or not to have children, whether you should take that job or quit your current one, whether you're struggling because you've gotten unlucky, or whether you're struggling because you're not seeing the impact of your choices or your worldview or your mindset. In this episode, we're going to talk about the truth and a perspective on how to identify what the truth really is and how you can decipher that in your life and how you can use it to make the most important decisions you can ever make. This episode comes from a lot of contemplation about the impact that 100 tiny choices can make on life. The more time I have spent over this past month really cultivating intention around my upcoming marriage, my wedding, the more I'm realizing how much richer my life is when I have just those tiny extra moments of clarity. And when I lean into the value of that in my life, not as something fleeting that doesn't matter, but as the most important riches available to me. Those moments of clarity when the sun is coming up and the waves are breaking and I feel the sand beneath my feet, right? Those kinds of moments of total presence add up to creating a much simpler and easier to understand connection to my own heart, which makes choosing and knowing what is right in the moment, how to act, what to do, so much simpler. And while this is an anecdotal experience, I can tell you that the results in my life have been profound, and I am so much closer to my fiance, soon-to-be wife. I am so much happier in my day-to-day life. I am making more money. I am loving even the dull parts of my life even more. I have more energy, more vitality to do the things that I care about. So, if you are looking for a way to break through whatever blocks are holding you back, what it is that might be making your life not as fun as you want it to be, stay with me. This is Reclaiming the Gentleman. I'm Dave Lashansky. Now, what is the truth? I think for this episode, I'm going to share with you a perspective that is very helpful in getting you closer to action, to making decisions, and to recognizing the impact of your maybe unconscious or maybe just overly pessimistic points of view and worldview that could just be holding you back from a more fulfilling, more fun, more joyful, more inspired life. So what is the truth? The truth is what you live into being. How do you explain something like that? Let's take, for example, a client I was working with who was struggling to find a partner. She'd been dating on and off for years, and a few of those relationships lasted a few months, and some lasted even longer than that, but they all seemed to fall short. And for her, the truth, the actual truth, was that there weren't a lot of men out there who were right for her. And she liked herself. She'd done a lot of work in her life to get to a point where that was possible. And so for her, the truth started to extend a little bit beyond there not being a lot of men who are right for her, but also that there are not a lot of good men in the world. And to her, this was truth. And for this episode, I want you to consider that she's right. And this is not because I agree, not because I ever agreed that there aren't a lot of good men in the world, but that the truth can be so multifaceted that the only useful definition for it is that the truth is what you live into being. Not just what you believe to be true, but what your choices and your actions make true for you. This is not just what you choose arbitrarily, like picking which flavor of lollipop you want from the bowl at the bank, but what truth is backed by the fire of your emotion and your passion. What do your emotions make real in your life? What do your beliefs make real in your life such that you live them into being? Is it that boredom and anxiety are just necessary parts of adulthood? That money is stressful? That your job is worth doing simply because of the security that it provides? The truth is what you live into being. Now, I'm aware that this is controversial. I'm aware that many of us like to believe in objective reality as a thing that can be discerned, and that truth is part of that. And I think there are probably objective realities out there, like a banana is yellow, that the grass is green, right? The truth is discernible and objective, might be true to a certain extent. And for the sake of making choices and taking actions that create the most fulfilling and inspired version of your life, I'm going to propose to you that objective truth, or truth that is true for all of us, is not meaningfully discernible to us for the things that matter most. Which means, for example, that we cannot know the truth of whether a person is the right person for someone else. What this means is that meaningful truths, truth that we take action on to change our lives, can only be discerned by us, by the individual. Only we can know what is true for us. And here's why I'm sharing this perspective in this episode and why it's important. If we spend our time searching for objective truth about the things that matter to our lives, we end up missing out on a personal experience of life. We miss out inherently on the wonder available to us in every lesson, in every moment, in every action that we take. We miss the perfectly informative and pleasurable and powerful and beautiful sensations that our body and our senses offer us to help us decide, to help us see the truth. And when we look outside of ourselves for that capital T truth, that objective truth that is true for all of us, we risk missing life. The cues that bring us into fullness and presence and wonder. The most magical, pleasurable, joyful, inspiring, and enlivening things life has to offer. The choice of how we spend our time happens billions of times in a lifetime. The choice of who we spend our time with happens hundreds of thousands of times in a lifetime. The choice of what to create, what to consume, all of these important and powerful choices have no discernible objective truth except for the one that you personally live into being. All of these choices and questions define the outlines of what is true for you. And therefore, they give you the opportunity to create what is true for you. Now, taking the example of my client, who believed that there were no good men out there. While that is not a reality I believe in, I wanted to see if she could see any kinds of cycles or implications that this perspective was creating in her life. And we talked about what her mindset was like going into a date. We talked about the hope that had turned into disappointment so many times, that had fortified into a kind of protection that she wore into all of her first dates. And we considered how her dates probably received that. She shared that if it were her meeting herself, she would probably actually be a bit guarded. She'd probably come forward with a bit more of a mask to be presentable. And in time, she started to witness how her experiences were not creating her concept of reality, but how her concept of reality was creating her experiences. This is the underlying law in this perspective on truth. It's that reality is created by our truth, by what we live into being. That reality is the result of our choices and our actions. And when she started to hold her experience of dating with this new perspective, she started to uncover what was making it hard for her to create the reality she wanted, to call in the partner she was looking for. That was where her work became most potent and powerful and accelerated the transformation in her life. She started to be more discerning about the people she went on dates with, about how she found them, and about how she engaged them when she did. Now, if you want to object to this idea that reality is created by us, by what we live into being, you are welcome to. This is not a hard thing to argue against. I'm aware of that. And the world certainly tries to fight this a lot of the time. There's a lot of conversation about how we all need to believe in certain truths in order to coexist, and it does not seem to be working very well, does it? And so before you disregard this notion that I'm putting forth in this episode, I want you to consider the profound effects that adopting this reality might have on your life. Consider participating in your life with the perspective that every single action you make has meaningful consequences. Consider that choosing what you hold in your heart to be good can create good. Consider that disobeying your senses and your emotions will lead you off of the path of fulfillment and joy. Consider how powerful it might be to catch yourself in the act of doing something that you know is not aligned with your vision for your highest good, and as you catch yourself, simply making another choice without shaming yourself for it. Because to shame yourself would create a reality, a truth of shame, as opposed to creating a reality where mistakes are likely and redirecting with love creates more love and gives you more of your time back and keeps you out of looping cycles that you don't need to be in. Consider what the best possible truth for your life could be, and how sweet it would be to steward and shepherd that vision of your life for yourself, knowing that no one else could ever do that for you. consider what it would be like for those moments when you have to make a hard choice, a meaningful choice, an impactful choice, to know what is true for you, to know what is right for you, that you need only consult the immediate answers available in your heart. And for some of us, that last piece, to just feel the immediate answers in our hearts, some of us, that's not something we can simply go inside and decipher right away. Lots of us have wounds around our desire and our hopes and our dreams, and they cloud what we want. And it makes discerning that truth, that reality we most want to believe in, a lot harder. But we all also have moments of clarity. Those moments where we lose ourselves to presence, to the moment, to inspiration, where life moves us. And it can be grand or simple, it can be subtle and potent, but however it happens, in those moments, we get to unearth the truth that we most want to believe in, which is the first act of creating the reality we want to bring into being. And the more you can pay attention to what your heart is longing for, to what reality your soul wants to create here for you in this life, the easier the path into that reality becomes. And the choices you can make to extend that path into new horizons become simpler and simpler. And all of this is valuable to you, so that in those moments, when you're questioning what the right action is, what the right choice is, the important ones, marriage, dating, creating, the more you can tap into your heart, the easier it will be for you to choose, according to your own sweet, valuable truth, what reality actually is. The reality set by you. The reality you are creating in the act of choosing. When you find yourself at a crossroads in love, in family, in purpose, remember that no one can hand you the truth. The truth is what you live into being. And in every single choice you make, big or small, you are creating the reality that only you can create. Start by creating tiny moments of clarity and giving yourself into those moments as much as you can. Carve space, carve time for yourself to listen inwardly, to be in nature, to do something that fills you up, that makes you feel most alive. The answers you will find there will yield a reality far greater than you can imagine. And the only way to do it is just to start. Thank you for listening to this episode of Reclaiming the Gentle Man. Please continue to send your feedback, your thoughts on the episode as you listen. As I say, I guess every week now, it means the world to me hearing from you all. So thank you. If you are interested in joining our free upcoming workshop, Letting Love In, go to daveleshansky.com to sign up. It is going to be profound and fun, and it will also be recorded, but I highly recommend coming live. You can sign up for that at daveleshansky.com. You can also get in touch with me on Instagram at Dave_Leshansky. This episode was produced by me through my podcast production company, David Benjamin Sound. You can learn more about creating your own podcast at davidbenjaminsound.com. If you are enjoying the podcast, please share it with a friend and leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. It does help me reach more listeners, and it is a great way to support me in continuing to make this show. That's all for now. I'll see you in a week.